that votes for the head of the United Auto Workers. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's approved all electric cars. And you know, Elon, I love Elon Musk. Do we love him? I love him. And I'm constantly talking about electric cars, but I don't mean I'm against, I'm totally for them, but whatever the market says, and if it's 10% of the market, 12%, 7%, 20%, whatever it is, it's okay. But you can't have 100% electric cars. And you know, so Elon endorsed me recently, the other day, actually. He's great. Elon Musk. He's a brilliant guy. Every time I call him, he's talking about, I got a new idea for a rocket. You have to hear this? No, it's true. You know, the first time I ever saw this, I'm watching television like 3 years ago, and I see a rocket engine, motor engine, come down landing, straight up in, no wings, no nothing, and it's landing. And I thought I was seeing things. What is that? And it's landing on a barge in the middle of the ocean. And then another one comes down, and another one. I guess 4 of them came down, 3 or 4, and they land upright. I said, what the hell was that? I've never seen that before. Now, if that were government, you wouldn't see that for another 50 to 100 years. But it was Elon. Now, think of that. And I called him, and I've always had a good relationship with him, but I called him, and I said, what was that? He said, well, we saved the engines. We saved the engines because it's very expensive to build. So, I mean, it didn't take me long to figure that if you save them, that's good. But who the hell thought you could do that? No wings, no nothing. Just like these big, long, massive tubes. And they're landing gently right on the dot. I said, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And you say, how long would it take government to come up with that one? I don't think they ever heard of it. Perhaps they still haven't heard of it. But, you know, he's a very advanced person, and he's doing other things that are great, and so are others. We have to make life good for our smart people, you know? We have some smart people. We have to make life good for our smart people, and he's as smart as you get. But Elon endorsed me the other day, and I didn't even know this. He didn't even tell me about it. But he gives me $45 million a month. A month. Not 45 million. Gives me 45 million a month. And I talked to him just a little while ago to say I was coming here, how you doing? And he didn't even mention it. He didn't mention. I mean, other guys, they give you $2 and you got to take them to lunch. You got to wine them, dine them. No, he's a great guy, he really is. But, you know, he's never mentioned to me, why are you hitting the electric cars? Because he understands I'm not hitting it. I think it's incredible. I've had them. I've driven them. They're incredible. But they're not for everybody. Some people have to drive long distances. And they tend to be more expensive. And, you know, they'll probably be made in China because China has all of that material.
Do you still donate $45 million? I'm sorry?
At no point did I say that I was donating $45 million a month to Trump. That was a fiction made up by the Wall Street Journal.
So what do you expect to hear from Netanyahu today?
I assume he's going to tell us about the state of Israel and Gaza. That's, I think he said yes. There are lawmakers around here?
Will you be meeting with the Prime Minister?
Mr. Musk, are you still going to donate to Trump? Are you still donating $45 million? I'm sorry?
At no point did I say that I was donating $45 million a month to Trump. That was a fiction made up by the Wall Street Journal.
So what are you expecting to hear from Netanyahu today?
I assume he's going to tell us about the state of Israel and Gaza. That's, I think I said yes.
And I said, you know, Elon, remember, I love electric cars. I think your car is great. I love it. but it's not for everybody. And, you know, he never said to me, look, I'm going to endorse you, but, you know, you have to show. Because I think the electric car and I think the Tesla, I think it's incredible what they've done. But there are other reasons, like sometimes you want to drive long distances. You don't want to stop. You know, in the Midwest, someplace in the Midwest, they put up 8 charging stations. You know that, right? They spent $9 billion. Now, you know what a charging station is? It's like a gas pump. It's the equivalent of a gas pump for electricity, right? It's a little thing. They spend $9 billion. That would mean that if they did it throughout the country, all the locations designated, it would cost $5 trillion, so our country would have to file for bankruptcy. They would have to file bankruptcy protection to build charge. The whole thing is crazy. They want everything to be all electric. But Elon's great. He endorsed me. He said, look, you know, you got to say what you say. And I love the car. I think it's great. And some people love them and some people want them. But I think if you're going to go long distances, it's a little bit, you're challenged. You're challenged. The upcoming what? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Elon Musk. So, yeah, sure. So Elon called me. As you know, he endorsed me full-throated. Great endorsement. I respect Elon a lot. He respects me. And not easy for him to endorse, to be honest with you. You know, it takes courage to endorse people. Many people have courage and many people don't. He does have courage. And Elon endorsed me, and he asked me whether or not I'd do a show on Monday, and I think it's going to be Monday night. And I believe he's the host of the show. So it'll be very interesting. A lot of people are talking about it. I look forward to it. That'll be done on Monday night.
Elon Musk is slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I don't know if the president is going to tune in. Feel free to say if he is or not. But I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that? Some of that was about campaign misinformation, but you know, it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here, about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that we're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility. These are private companies, so we're also mindful of that too. But look, it is. I think it is incredibly important to call that out as you're doing. I just don't have any specifics on what we have been doing internally as it relates to the interviews. Not something that I'm tracking, and I'm sure the president's not tracking it either. Go ahead, Jared.
Just curious about the Thursday event with the president and vice president are doing. Can we expect, because that's an official event, that's a policy event,
Yep.
Can we expect to see more of those kind of joint administration events between the president and vice president?
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. But I think Thursday's announcement is going to be really important. You're right. It's about lowering cost for the American people. It really builds on what this president and the vice president has been trying to do over the last 3.5 years as it relates to the American people. Stay tuned. We certainly will have more to share about his schedule, their schedule together in the upcoming days and weeks.
I only ask because we haven't seen a lot of those sort of joint events. Usually they kind of branch out, flank out, and do those events separately. So what is the thinking?
I think there's been a couple of times over the 3.5 years that the president and the vice president have had joint events. And I think very early on, the first several months, I remember them going to Georgia together. Obviously, they went there for an awful event that happened on the ground, a shooting. But they've appeared together many times. I know when it comes to Roe v. Wade, for example, they've appeared together for that. And there's been other times as well. I would expect that will be continuing in the last several months of this administration. And remember, yes, they do their own events and they crisscross the country, but they're partners in this, and they'll continue to do just that. Okay.
And the election is called.
Do Democrats have any concern about Elon Musk's backing of Donald Trump, given that he owns a social network and his level of resources?
I think, as we saw with this interview this weekend, that there's a concern by many that were watching with things that were said, and it appears that Mr. Musk may have violated the own rules that he established at X, former Twitter. And in addition to that, just look at the letter that was sent from European partners about the rules that they established based on putting these falsehoods and these lies, these dangerous lies that can cause violence, up on the network as well. And that's kind of what we saw this weekend. So it's not a surprise to me. I'll leave it at that. You know, the more that Elon Musk interviews the former president, the less that I have to talk about the previous president, because they're going to do all the talking for us, and they're going to show the American people why the former president will not be president of the United States ever again.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Yes, please. I know you had your hand up. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for taking my question. You referenced your conversation with Elon Musk earlier this week. I want to ask you about that. You praised how he treats workers, saying they go on strike, and you say that's okay, you're all gone, so every one of you is gone. Are you really comfortable with companies threatening to fire workers who go on strike?
Well, no, I want companies to get workers that are going to love them and work for a wage that lets the company make a profit so they can go and expand. In that case, they moved, as you know, they moved the company from California, Elon, from California to Texas, because they were able to get things that California wouldn't give. And I did ask him one question. You're moving a very big company out of California that's been there for years into Texas. Did the governor ever call you and say, like, let's work it out because we don't want to lose you? And he said he never called. Governor Newsom, he never called. And you would have thought, if I were governor of California and if Elon or anybody else, they have oil companies leaving, I would be calling. But no, Elon wants to run an efficient company, and if he has to he got rid of a lot of people on X, or former Twitter. A lot of people gone, and it still works. It still works. So you got to run the company productively, and there are going to be a lot of jobs around. I want it so that a person doesn't get lucky and find a job. I want a person that can look for 10 jobs, and all 10 companies want them, and you negotiate much more than you'd get by doing what you just suggested. So, you know, he's a strong man. He's a strong guy. He's a brilliant guy. And he wants to get the best he can, and he wants to get the best workers. He pays a lot of money to a lot of his workers. It's, to a certain extent, supply and demand. But ultimately, that's what's going to lead to a great country. So.
Just to follow up on that really quickly, because some people took at that as you saying that you would be comfortable with companies threatening to fire workers. Sean O'Brien, who spoke at the Republican National Convention, saying that firing workers who are wanting to organize or striking is economic terrorism. So just to be clear, that's something that you are
Well, that's not, yeah, they weren't organizing against Elon. He let them go because he was having a lot of problems in California. They were making it impossible for him. In California, what they were doing with the taxes and everything were making it impossible for him. And Sean O'Brien's a great guy from the Teamsters you're talking. Yeah, Sean is great. I think Sean would understand it better than anybody. Don't forget, the unions are really threatened by what's coming in, by these millions and millions of people coming in. Sean O'Brien understands that. The black population is absolutely threatened. The Hispanic population is absolutely threatened. Because these people are coming in, they're going to take their jobs. They're going to make it very, very hard. What's happened in our country is very dangerous, very bad thing.
You know, you talk about, like Horace, I'm a big fan of Elon. Elon gave a tremendous investment. Sure, you have to send a rocket up to get those people out of there. It's crazy. You know, it's great. I said, what are you sending a rocket up? Well, you know, Elon is a very different kind of a guy. As he thinks, he talks. Whereas a lot of people, you know, they want the words to be perfect and all, and they think less and talk more. With Elon, it's like, well, you know, I'm doing a new stainless steel hub that can get us around the engines much quicker because there's a problem with the type of engine going into space nowadays. And I'm hearing that. And but in the end, I think we can have a good hookup because of the new foils that are coming up. And I'm hearing everything that's going through his mind. But he's super genius guy.
Oh, I loved that conversation that you had on Twitter. I listened to the whole thing. I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
I think we're going to do another one, too. They had a number, like I heard 750 million. They had a number that was so crazy and large. And we had a good time. We talked for 2.5 hours. And, it was the number one ever. There's never been anything like it in terms of people listening or watching or whatever. But he's a great guy. But I said to him, the one thing is that, and I'm a huge fan of his electric car. I think it's incredible, this car. I think what he does. And I'm a big fan of electric, but they don't go far. And they are expensive. And China does have the material. We have gasoline, more gasoline than anybody else has. I call it liquid gold. We have liquid gold. But, and electric absolutely has a place. You have electric, but you have to have gasoline-powered cars and hybrid-powered cars, and maybe hydrogen is going to be next, who knows? But, the things that they're proposing.
Fourth, at the suggestion of Elon Musk, who has given me his complete and total endorsement. That's nice. Smart guy. He knows what he's doing. Very much appreciated. I will create a government efficiency commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms. We need to do it. Can't go on the way we are now. And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force. Be interesting. If he has the time, it'd be a good one to do it. But he's agreed to do it. In 2022, fraud and improper payments alone cost taxpayers an estimated hundreds of billions of dollars. As the first order of business, this commission will develop an action plan to totally eliminate fraud and improper payments within 6 months. This will save trillions of dollars, trillions. It's massive. For the same service that you have right now, trillions of dollars is wasted and gone, and nobody knows where and what. Further taming inflation and bringing prices way down. The fifth pillar of my plan is to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. They are massive tax cuts, biggest ever, permanent. And to cut taxes even more, and we will have no tax on tips, something which they copied 4 weeks after I said it. She got up and said, no tax on tips. I said, I just said that. But at the suggestion of Elon Musk, I will create a government efficiency commission to conduct a complete financial and performance audit for the entire federal government. And we will cut the fat out of our government for the first time meaningfully in 60 years. We're going to cut the fat. There is so much fat, you won't even know it's gone. Fifth, we will drain the government education swamp and stop the abuse of your taxpayer dollars to indoctrinate America's youth with all sorts of things that you don't want to have our youth hearing. Ultimately, we'll live, and you know what we're doing here. I say it all the time. I'm dying to get back to do this. We will ultimately eliminate the Federal Department of Education and send education back to Wisconsin and back to the states. We'll send it back to the states so that Ron Johnson can run it, okay? We'll send it back here. Mr. Tiffany, we'll get our Congressman Tiffany involved. He made a good speech, too. We're at the bottom of every single list in education. You know that. We're at the bottom of every single list. And yet we're number one in terms of cost per pupil. So, you know the expression I used once, twice, 3 times before, and it was very effective, actually. What the hell do we have to lose, right? We'll send our education back to the states. And, you know, some states will do a fantastic job. Some won't. And it's the same ones that are laggards right now. I don't want to name them because why would we want to embarrass Gavin Newsom and some of these people? Gavin Newsom Why would we want to embarrass him? But that's, by the way, speaking of California, she destroyed, as you know, Kamala destroyed the greatest city in America, San Francisco. She destroyed it, totally destroyed it. Then she became Attorney General of the state. She destroyed the state of California. Now she's running for president. We're not going to let that happen. 6, we will not tolerate so-called equity policies that punish Americans based on race or gender. America will return to the merit principle, which has just been approved by the Supreme Court of the United States. You work hard and you will be very successful. We're back to the merit system. Nobody thought that was ever even possible. We need merit. There's so many people that are left out in the cold, and that's not going to happen anymore. You work hard, you work diligently, you go to school, you do what you have to do, but it's based on merit. Again, you haven't heard that in many, many years. And 7th, working with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you know Bobby, RFK Jr., that was a meaningful endorsement. That was a great endorsement. We'll take on the corruption at the FDA, the CDC, World Health Organization, and other institutions of public health that have dominated and really are dominated by corporate power and dominated really by China. You know, the World Health Organization, they called COVID totally wrong. And I looked into it. We were paying them $500 million a year. China was paying them for $1.4 billion. We don't really know what we have because so many people have come into our country. We have no idea what we have. But let's assume we have 350 million, including 20 or 25 million criminal migrants, in many cases criminals. We have some of the worst people in the world coming into our country. Some of the worst criminals in the world are coming into our country. But we have 350 million people, let's say. They have 1.4 billion. They pay 39 million. We pay 500 million. Do you think that's a good deal? So I pulled out of it. And they came to me and they wanted me to go back in. They wanted us to go back in. And I kept saying, no, 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 I don't want to do it. And it became actually a very popular thing. I hate to say this, but politically like people really liked it because they knew how we were abused by them. It's run by China. It's not run by us. We pay 500 and it's run by China, who pays 39 million. So they wanted to come back. And I said, well, how come China's paying 39 million? They have 1.4 billion people. And we're paying for a much smaller number of people. We're paying 500. We will make the same deal as we made with China. Well, I said that would mean we'd be paying about 8 million, right? They said, no, we will make the same. We'll let you come in for 39 million. And you know what? I turned them down. Not for that. I turned them down for other reasons, and because they weren't good, and they were dominated by China. But Biden came in. This stupid person came in, and he approved $590 million. Now, he knew what was going on. He knew that, well, he probably didn't. He's really, do you think he knew? I don't think he knew. Do you think somebody said, sir, we can do it for 39? You know, it's not the biggest number when you're talking trillions all the time, but it's indicative of stupidity. Only bad is going to happen. Starting on day one, we will end inflation and make America affordable again. We will have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors who have been devastated by inflation. Our seniors have been devastated by inflation. We're going to have no tax on Social Security for our seniors. If any senior doesn't vote for Trump, we're going to have to send you to a psychiatrist to have your head examined. And while working Americans catch up, we're going to put a temporary cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. People are paying 22%, 25%. It's not fair. We're going to put a temporary cap at 10%. I will settle. The war in Ukraine, oh, what a problem, what a horrible. This is a war that would have never happened. October 7th in Israel would have never happened. But I will end the chaos in the Middle East quickly. And I'm the only one that's going to do this. We have never been so close to World War III as we are right now. We are so close. I will be sure that World War III will not happen. I'm the only one can say it won't happen. But you're very close, and that'll be a war like no other, because I always say it's not going to be two tanks, which, by the way, our country wants to convert to electric. I'm not going to let that happen. They want electric tanks. They don't work well. The battery size is so big, you're going to have to pull a trailer behind the tank. No, can you believe this? They want electric tanks. They don't care. They want to have a nice, free, beautiful for the environment as we blast our way through countries. These people are crazy. They're crazy. You know, they want electric trucks, even though a diesel-fueled truck can go from New York to Los Angeles with plenty of fuel left over. An electric truck, which weighs 2.5 times as much because the battery is so heavy, which takes about half of the payload, in addition to the battery itself, takes half of the payload. It has to stop approximately 6 to 7 times. In the Midwest, you just saw Biden, they built battery chargers, 8 of them. They spent $9 billion on 8 chargers. It's not going to work. And I'm all for electric. And I like Elon Musk. Elon gave me a tremendous endorsement, a very heartfelt endorsement. He feels that if I'm not elected, this country is finished. And he makes a great car, Tesla. He makes a great, great car. But you know what? If people want a Tesla, I think it's great. But they also want to have gasoline-powered cars, which is an advantage for our country because we have more gasoline than any place else. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any place else. If they want a hybrid, and nobody understands that better than Elon Musk, and he makes a great product, but not everybody wants that. They want to have choice. These people want you to go all electric within a very short period of time. Will never work. It'll never be accepted, and it's not being accepted. I will terminate. So I want to thank everybody. And we came down with truckloads of things, and we're going to have that done by Franklin's incredible organization. They've done such a good job. We've done this before, but we have a lot of truckloads of different items, from oil to water to all sorts of equipment that's going to help them. But we're here today to stand in complete solidarity with the people of Georgia and with all of those suffering in the terrible aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Hurricane Helene turned out to be a big one, like just about the biggest that anyone's seen. I spoke with all of the relief people, all of the people that do this for a living and do this at least to help, and they said they've never seen one this bad. Valdosta has been ravaged. The town is very, very badly hurting, and many thousands are without power. They're running low on food and fuel. We brought a lot of it down with us. It's going to be distributed now or soon throughout Georgia, as well as North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Virginia, Alabama, and Tennessee. That's our big one. And the devastation wrought by this storm is incredible. It's so extensive. Nobody thought this would be happening, especially now it's so late in the season for the hurricanes. Homes, hospitals, highways, and cars have been plunged underwater. Entire neighborhoods have been turned into lakes. Nobody's seen anything like it. And to every family that's been displaced here in Georgia and North Carolina, which has really been hit. We were going there also, and they don't have communication. They don't have anything right now. We're trying to. I just spoke to Elon. I'm getting him. We want to get Starlink hooked up because they have no communication whatsoever. And Elon will always come through. We know that. And so we're working on that, getting them hooked up. They asked me whether or not that would be possible. We're going to try and get the Starlink in there as soon as possible because they have no communication. And throughout the region, our hearts are with you, and we are going to be with you as long as you need. It's called an hour of need. You're in our prayers, and we pray to God. And throughout this the long weeks that lay ahead, you're going to have a lot of work, but the end result is it's going to be good. We just wish so many people weren't so badly hurt, and in many cases, sadly, no longer with us. We love you. We love everyone. I mean, to be honest, we love everyone. And we'll be back, and we'll be back again soon. And we'll continue to help until you're
bigger, I say bigger, better, stronger than ever before. But again, you can't ever discount the fact that people are lost. A lot of people have been lost in this terrible storm, this terrible hurricane. Really great to be here. It's beautiful. I want to thank Troy Berg and everyone at Dane Manufacturing for hosting us. Thank you, Troy. Where is Troy? Where is he? What a beautiful couple that is. More importantly, I'd like to thank you. That's great. Thank you both very much. Appreciate it. Is he a great owner? Great owner, great everything, right? And what was the 16 all about? Oh, 16. Whoa, he's better looking than you, Troy. That's good. That's great. Thank you very much, everybody. Let me begin by sending our love to every family that has been affected by the Hurricane Helene. I witnessed the damage firsthand yesterday in Georgia, and as you know, North Carolina was just devastated. We can't even get in. They don't have communication. They don't have anything. Towns were flooded. Asheville is, as you know, totally underwater, big place. Massive numbers of lives were lost yesterday, the day before yesterday, and still counting. They have a lot of missing people. The people living in western North Carolina, incredible patriots. They really are. I know that area well, and they're still suffering immensely, and we need to help them, and we are going to help them as citizens in Alabama, Tennessee, Virginia, and a couple of other places got a little hit, but in particular these places, and Georgia was hit very, very hard. But I want to thank Elon Musk for responding to my request that Starlink be provided to North Carolina. You know, and the lines were all down. They had no communication. You couldn't get to North Carolina, the area that was hit. And they were all saying, does anybody know Elon Musk? I said, yeah, I do. I raised my hand. They asked a question. I said, yeah, I know. I said, what's the problem? They said, do you think you could get him to get Starlink, which is amazing stuff, right? Starlink. And I said, I don't know too much about Starlink, but if you want it, we can get it. I called Elon, and they had so many people over there, Tommy. They had so many people over there so quickly, and they have great communication now. But, I mean, it's a terrible. But thank you, Elon, and because of you, they're in really great shape now from the standpoint of emergency needs. And we're going to be going there on Friday. I hope we can get in because it's tough. It's really bad. One of the worst, they say one of the worst hurricanes, maybe the worst hurricane they've ever seen. Some people that have done this for 25 years said that was the worst they've ever seen because of the water. The water was the big one. They had big winds, but the water was the big damage. It just went over the top of houses, if you can believe. Houses. And people went up to the second floor for safety, and literally the water went over the house. But we mourn all of our fellow citizens who have lost their lives, and we're keeping their families in our hearts, and we'll continue to work with them. But praise be to God. I tell you, it's really incredible. And then on top of that, as you know, the world right now is spiraling out of control. You might not have seen what's happened because it was a few hours ago. A lot of people were here. There's so many people outside, which we appreciate. But a lot of people were here a short time ago. Iran launched 181 ballistic missiles at Israel. And I've been talking about World War III for a long time. And I don't want to make predictions because the predictions always come true. We're not going to make... But they are very close to global catastrophe. We have a non-existent president and a non-existent vice president who should be in charge, but nobody knows what's going on. She was at a fundraiser in San Francisco, a city that she totally destroyed, by the way. San Francisco was the best city in the country maybe 20 years ago, and today you can't even go there. You can't even live there. And I speak against myself because I own property there. I shouldn't be saying that. I should say it's the greatest place in the world. I'm going to appoint Elon Musk, who's a fantastic guy, to lead a government efficiency commission tasked with saving trillions of dollars in fraud, waste, and abuse, and driving down inflation and driving down costs. We have tremendous fat. I mean, just one example. When I came in, I was asked by Boeing to sign a contract for the purchase of a new Air Force One. and which is actually 2 planes. A lot of people don't know it. In a way, it's 4 planes because it's sort of Air Force One becomes the plane that the president uses. And I was asked to do it, and I was able to cut $1.6 billion off the deal without any changes, except I was giving it a better looking paint job. And we ordered new ones, because we have Air Force One is 32 years old, 2 planes, 32 years old. And you'd come and you'd land it next to some of these planes from Saudi Arabia and a lot of other places, United Arab Emirates is a beauty. But you'd land the plane, and the plane looked awfully shabby. It was time, 32 years old, so I got new ones. But I came in, and they asked me to sign a $5.6 or $5.7 billion contract. Now, they're very special planes, because it's like, people hear billions for airplanes, but they're very special. I can't even say you why, but I can't tell you that. I'm not supposed to. But they are very expensive but incredible planes from Boeing. And I said, I'm not going to sign it. It's too much. And Boeing came back, and they cut $400 million off just by my saying that. And I said, nope, it's too high. It has to have a 3 in the front of it. It has to have a 3. Because this was a 5, right? 5.6, 5.7 billion. I said, nope, it's too high. And they called back a week later, and they took another $250 million off. So I got $650 million with like about 2 minutes of conversation. I said, no, I'm not doing it. It has to have a 3. And this went on for about a month, and I sort of forgot about it. I said, look, forget it. Well, let's not do it. And lo and behold, about 4 months later, I get a call from Dennis. This was prior to the horrible accidents, the 2 accidents that really hurt Boeing. I mean, it was the greatest company in the world. I think it was thought of as the greatest company in the world, and now it's not considered that. They went down a long way, but this was when it was prime time, Boeing prime time at the beginning of my term. And they said, here's the story, sir. We thought we had a deal at $5.7 billion. We'll do it for $3,999,999.99. 1 penny less than 4. I said, you had a deal. So I saved about $1.6 billion. Same exact plane, nothing different. It's not like, oh, gee, we have cheaper engines, or we have no generation system, or the wings are smaller, or lots of things that you can do to cheapen it up. No, the exact same plane, except we had a much better paint job. And we saved $1.6 billion, and it took me like 3 months. And actually the last part was the most effective, because I gave up on him, and he called up out of the blue. In fact, when he called, I said, the head of Boeing, what the hell does he want? That's always the best way to negotiate when it doesn't matter to you so much, right? I said, what does he want? And then he said, the plane that we've been talking about a few months ago? Yeah, tell me about it. That's when he made the best offer. So we saved $1.6 billion or $1.7 billion for that. I said, so you're going to make $1.7 billion to build an airplane? That was the way I looked at it. And we have so much. Elon Musk is a master of that, and he's so into it because he loves the country so much. He endorsed me with the warmest endorsement. He thinks it's very important that I win because we're going to save our country. If these people win, we're not going to have a country. But we're going to have Elon do it, and he'll be able to save, I think, trillions of dollars. I really do. I think trillions of dollars. And nobody in the country will feel a thing except we'll save our country.
And it's going to be great. But to do that, you have to vote for Trump, and you have to do it fast. You have to do it very quickly. And, while I'm on the subject of smart people, I want to thank Elon Musk. He endorsed me. More importantly, he endorsed me strongly. He said, you better vote for Trump if you want to save your country. And he's a smart cookie, but he did something else. I was in Georgia the other day, and after the floods, and they were having tremendous problems, in particular in North Carolina. You can't even get in. They were wiped out. They had no communication whatsoever. And they said, do you know somebody named Elon Musk? I said, I happen to know him. He just endorsed me. They said, is there any way he does a product, Starlink? Did anyone ever hear of Starlink? And it's another one of his genius products. It is genius, too, actually. And they said, is there any way? Because North Carolina, in particular, has absolutely no communication. We can't communicate. You can't get there. You just can't talk. And many people are missing. You know, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. Many people are missing, and our federal government is doing so badly. So I said, Elon, can you do us a favor? Can you take care of it? He had, within 45 minutes, planes and helicopters loaded up with this equipment, and they were having perfect communication within less than 24 hours. It was unbelievable. And I said to the person that got me and made the request, who's over there really suffering too, I said, well, what's the difference between that and what they had with the hard wire? They said, actually, the hard wire is not as good. Think of that. So this man got, and he also said, just take it. You'll pay if you can. I mean, people are getting these expensive systems from him, and we really owe him a debt of gratitude. Elon Musk. Great. Not a lot of people would have done that. Most people could not have acted that fast either. He got it right away. They were starting to load, I think, before the phone conversation ended. So we have to thank him. I wish our federal government could move like that, right? Instead of spending money on people that are ruining our country. I delivered you the largest tax cuts in American history, and we'll do it again. We're going to get them lower, but we're going to do something else. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. And no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Right? That's a good one, too. That last one's so good. But, you know, look, our seniors were devastated by inflation. They don't get rich by this, but we're going to give them back essentially what they lost. They were destroyed by inflation. Their fixed income, they were destroyed. But also, they worked so hard. This was a young waitress came up to me. How you doing? Well, I'm having problems. The government was after her for tax on tips. I said, oh, you have to pay tax on tips? Who the hell knew that, right? But they do. And very nasty. The government was very nasty. And I said, what do you recommend? They said, it's really unfair. We shouldn't have to pay tax on tips. You know what's going to happen? You're going to end up doing a lot more business, I think. I think you're going to actually end up. But so remember.
Mr. President, to follow up on that, because the media is here, I do believe that they've intentionally, and this is my opinion, not helped out those residents because it's red communities that are impacted. Let's call a spade a spade. Do your job and do better.
Anna, one thing. So Elon Musk, we all love Elon, you know, Elon. We have to take care of our brilliant people. We don't have too many of them, right? There aren't too many brilliant people. But I got an emergency call 2 days ago to speak to Elon, and he endorsed me very strongly. He endorses me almost every day. He wants us to win so badly. But Elon is a brilliant guy between the Tesla and this, that, the rockets. But he also does something called, you know, the links, Starlinks. So he has Starlinks. Now, I'm not too familiar with it. All I know is it's really supposed to be great. So they call, because in North Carolina and parts of and a little bit Georgia, but in parts of North Carolina, every line is down. There was no calls, no anything. Nobody could get through to anybody. And I got a call from a big person in North Carolina. Could you possibly call Elon Musk, because we need help with Starlinks? Could we get Starlinks, you know, really? And I did, and he was great. And, you know, he did something he had it ordered. I got a call during my phone call. They called me up, the people from North Carolina, and they said, thank you very much for helping us with Mr. Musk. I was talking to him. He wasn't off the phone. I said, do you have some kind of a thing that we're talking and you're ordering people? This was the craziest thing. No, he's like, I'm talking. So, Elon, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll see you. He's going to Butler tomorrow. You know, Elon is going to Butler. But I asked him about Starlinks. Would you be able to get a certain section of Georgia? They're going to fly them in with helicopters and everything else. Would you be able? And as I'm talking to him, they're calling me on the other line, thanking me for getting it. So I got to ask him what the hell that was all about, right? He's probably got some little contraption that he's going like this as he's talking to him. He's incredible, that guy, I'll tell you. But he got a tremendous for Georgia and for North Carolina, the Starlinks.
They got. Here's the one thing they have to do: they have to distribute it. They have to get it out there. He got it here, but they have to get it out there. They're not getting it out. That's FEMA. They've got to get it out. So important. But he's really done a great job, so we appreciate it.
Take over, Elon. Yes, take over.
Hi, everyone. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. And, you know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight! Blood coming down the face. Now, America is the home of the brave. And there's no truer test than courage under fire. So who do you want representing America? Yeah, absolutely. And I think this election, I think it's the most important election of our lifetime. This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your right to bear arms. They want to take away your right to vote effectively. You've got 14 states now that don't require voter ID. California, where I used to live, is just passed a law banning voter ID for voting. I still can't believe that's real. So how are you supposed to have a proper election if there's no ID? It's just meaningless. And free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And if people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment. Hi, everyone. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. And, you know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight! Blood coming down the face. Now, America is the home of the brave. And there's no truer test than courage under fire. So who do you want representing America? Yeah, absolutely. And I think this election, I think it's the most important election of our lifetime. This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your right to bear arms. They want to take away your right to vote effectively. You've got 14 states now that don't require voter ID. California, where I used to live, is just passed a law banning voter ID for voting. I still can't believe that's real. So how are you supposed to have a proper election if there's no ID? It's just meaningless. And free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And If people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment. President Trump must win to preserve the Constitution. He must win to preserve democracy in America. Yes. This is a must-win situation.
The federal government isn't there. And by the way, how good a guy is Elon Musk? Right? You saw him last night. How good. I mean, that guy, I didn't know anything about it. I get a call from a really good person in North Carolina. They said, the people, there's no communication. They said, do you know a man named Elon Musk? I said, yeah, I do, actually. He endorsed me very strongly, and we love him. He's a smart cookie. A little different, too. He's a little different. But he is one smart cook. He sends the rocket ships up. The first time I ever saw the engines coming down, I said, what was that? Well, we'd like to be able to save the engines. It makes a lot of sense, but I never saw anything like that. This guy's unbelievable. So what happens is, he was there last night, by the way. He got the biggest hand you've ever seen. People love him. But they said, do you know Elon Musk? He didn't know. And I said, yeah, I do. Why? What do you need? And he said, they have something called Starlink. Starlink. He said, we have no communication in North Carolina. People are dying. Like 500 people are missing. It's a disaster. The federal government is doing, the White House is doing nothing. They've abandoned us. And you know, it's largely a Republican area. So some people say they did it for that reason. I don't even think they're that bad, but they probably, maybe they are. But they want Starlink. So I said, whatever it is, I called Elon. I say, and you can't get it, it's really popular. It's very hard to get. But they need it, and they need big doses of it, like fast. And I'm calling Elon. I said, Elon, in North Carolina and parts of Georgia, and the governor is doing a very good job, by the way, in Georgia, I have to say. A very good job. But in parts of Georgia, and in real big parts of North Carolina, they need something called Starlink. I don't know what the hell it is, and you don't have to tell me because I don't want to waste a lot of time. But would you be able to get it? And we talked on the phone for a couple of minutes. And during my conversation with him, I got a call from North Carolina thanking me for getting Starlink. I said, how the hell did you do that? You're talking to me. You didn't have time. He said, well, I have a system. I think he's doing... No, I mean, he approved it while he was talking to me. Is that crazy? We have got to be with, and we've got to protect our brilliant people because we don't have too many of them. We need our brilliant people protected. And Kamala's not one of them, I can tell. But if you want a president who will do whatever it takes to protect you, who will never forsake you, and who will never rest in the defense of our nation, and I'll tell you, never, I'm just thinking, it's a beautiful phrase, but we will never rest. We're never going to do anything that will be other than protect the people of our country and our nation. Then you better vote for a gentleman named Donald J. Trump. Have you ever heard of him? Have you ever heard of him? She wouldn't say it. How about the insane electric vehicle mandate where everybody's got to have an electric car almost immediately? They don't go far. They cost a lot more, and they're going to be made in China. And by the way, I think they're fantastic for a certain group of people that want them. And I'm not saying that because I'm a big fan of Elon, who endorsed us. You know that. He endorsed us. Elon's great. And he makes a great product, and it is. And there's a market for it. It's great. There are people that want it, and I think it's fantastic, actually. But you know what? Some people want gasoline. We have more gasoline. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country anywhere in the world. But I'll tell you, Elon was at Butler. You saw, he was having the time of his life. And I didn't even know we had it. He saw a black hat. You saw that. And it has, in a very subtle way, with black letters, "Make America Great Again." And I didn't even know we sold them. And he wore one. And, you know, his imagination is rather good, like better maybe than anybody in the world. He sends up rockets. He has all what he did with Starlink was so incredible for North Carolina and Georgia and Alabama. They said, "Sir, do you know Elon Musk?" I said, "Yeah, I happen to. He just endorsed us like the best endorsement you've ever heard." He said, "We're going to save America. If we don't, this country is ruined." But think of it, they said, "Do you know?" Because he has something called Starlink, and it's very hard to get. It's so popular. I said, "What do you need it for?" He said, "In North Carolina, we have absolutely no communications." Also, the governor of Georgia is doing an excellent job. They didn't have any communications in certain sections of Georgia. And I said, "Well, what do you want?" He said, "Could you get us like Starlink?" So I called up Elon. I said, "Elon, what the hell is Starlink?" He said, "Because North Carolina needs it for communication really badly, and it's very hard to get." And we talked for about a minute, and all of a sudden I'm getting messages, "Thank you," from North Carolina, from Georgia. "Thank you very much." I'm still on the phone with him. I said, "How the hell did you do that?" He started sending it out, and we hadn't finished our conversation. So we're dealing on a different level with Elon. And it was great. It saved them. It saved them. Because all their wires were ripped out. And I asked the people, I said, "So what's better? The wires all over the place when they were working or Starlink?" He said, "Honestly, Starlink is better." He said, "Starlink is better." So we thank Elon because he helped a lot of people, probably saved a lot of lives. And we thank him for the endorsement, right? We thank him for the endorsement. And I also want to tell you, he made that black hat we're selling. So what happened, I didn't even know we had it. It's selling like hotcakes. 10,000 hats were sold like in the last day and a half. But listen, more importantly, he calls it Dark MAGA. Dark MAGA. I said, "That's the coolest name." That's the coolest name I've heard. And he likes it. He's wearing it all the time now. He's great. Really.
Can I ask you about Silicon? I was in Silicon Valley recently. You talked to the tech bosses there and the tech people, and there seems to be a real fear that what you would do with tech is you would hand it over to Elon Musk and say, "You sort it out."
No, I have great respect for Elon. Look, I saw that rocket ship come in yesterday and go right back to where it took off, to the gantry, I guess they call it. And I said, "What the hell?" I was on a phone talking about probably politics, and the television's on, and I'm seeing this big thing where the white paint was burned off it from the thousands of miles an hour, the heat. And I see this big, massive tube that's 10 stories, 20 stories tall come down. I told the person on the phone, "Wait a minute, I'm seeing something I don't believe it. Neither does anybody else here." And I said, "Wait a minute." I forgot the guy was on the phone. He waited for a half hour. And I watched that come down, and I watched it come down and come right in between those big levers. And I said, and it looked to me like it was going to crash. It was coming in hot. And all of a sudden, boom, you see the motor, the fire kick in. And I called Elon. I said, "That's the most incredible thing." I said, "Can Russia do that?" "Nope." I said, "Can the United States do it?" "Nope. He's the only one that can do it." And I said,
you now want to put him in charge of deregulation.
Not deregulation, cutting.
Cutting wasteful spending.
Cutting.
Every single
which would
president,
include deregulation. No,
every
I've got to approve it.
Every president comes in and talks about cutting wasteful spending.
Oh, there's tremendous waste.
Give me an example of something you will do that will get rid of government spending.
Well, let me give you an example. When I came into government, I was the first thing.
An example going forward.
Well, no,
not
but this is going forward because it's the same thing. When I first sat down, a general came into my office and he said, "Sir, it's nice to meet you. Would you please sign this?" I said, "What is it?" "It's a contract for a new Air Force One, which is actually 2 planes, not one, 2 Boeing 747. And I said, "How much is it?" $5.7 billion. So it's a hell of an expensive plane, but there's reasons for that. He said, "Nope, I'm not signing it." I said, "Who negotiated it?" "Barack Hussein Obama." I said, "I'm not signing it." "Why?" Because there's a lot of fat. I said, "I'm not signing it. It's got to have a 3 on it." Anyway, long story short, some of you have heard this. I got it down to, because first week they cut off $400 million. He said, "I'll cut." I met with the head of Boeing. "Wait, Dennis." I said, "Dennis, you got to have a 3. 5.7 is too much. 5.7 billion." He said, "The most I'll take off is $400 million. I said, "Well, that's not bad for one conversation." So I got it down. I said, "Nope, I'm not accepting." Then he took off 2 more. Then he took off. Anyway, 2 months went by, 3 months went by. I thought we blew the deal, and it was okay with me. I didn't care. But we should have a new Air Force One. When we see these planes from Saudi Arabia, from different countries, brand new, and ours is like 32 years old, and it's a very different plane. It's a much smaller plane, the whole thing. The United States should have the best plane, I will tell you. Not for me, but we should have it. Let me just finish. So he said, he calls up after like 2-3 months. I didn't call him, which is the best way to buy something. Don't call back. And he goes, in fact, when he called me, I said, "I wonder what the hell he wants." That's a good way to negotiate, let me tell you. So he calls back, said, "Sir, $3,999,999.99 1 penny below $4 billion. So I said, "You got yourself a deal." Then I said to him, "Let me ask you a question. So you had a deal at $5.7 billion, and in a period of 2 months, I got $1.7 billion off. That means you're going to make $1.7 billion profit on an airplane. Did nobody ever negotiate with you?" "Well, not really, sir. This is the price." And they said, "We'll take it." And I said, and then I learned, that was my first experience, from that. But then I learned everything is like that. There is so much waste. So I'm getting, think of this, the exact same plane for $1.7 billion less, except I have a better paint job. Okay, much better paint job. A different color, red, white, and blue is beautiful. And if you look at every contract, that's one contract, and relatively small compared to most. Think of it. You save $1.7 billion because you negotiate. Every deal is like that. We're building ships that are costing 2-3 times more.
Can you give me an example of something?
There's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse in our country. And if you could cut it, you would have a surplus without even going into growth. But growth, we will grow. We're going to bring companies and jobs in at levels that you've never seen. And you would never be able to do it because you're not a believer in tariffs. The only way, let me tell you, the only way you can do it is through the threat of tariffs. It's the only way you can do it.
Can we come back to one thing on that? Deal making. You look out across this room, there's some big businesses, but a lot of small ones. By the way, you've given us a lot of examples of things where you've negotiated with the heads of big businesses.
Right.
Give you an example, when you put the tariffs on China, much smaller than you're planning to do at the moment, when you put them on, Apple came, you negotiated a difference for them.
I did.
That's much harder for small business people. Isn't the problem with the way that you do these kind of deals? You're bound to deal with the big companies. It's the small companies who get hit by all these different things and can't find exceptions.
Oh, we have exceptions. No, we had an exception rule. I gave Apple an exception. Tim Cook is a great business.
Apple is not a small company. And
no.
Please
no,
don't
but,
give
but,
it
he, but here's what happened.
The question is about small business.
Yes, but I
what
would
will
make
you do for them?
No, but we have a very talented group of people. Bob Lighthizer did a very good job. We had great people. We had central casting. These are great, and a large group of people.
We made exceptions. In the case of Apple, they needed an exception. You know why? Because of Samsung. He came to me and he said, Samsung makes a product similar to ours, very good product, the phones and other things. And because they're in South Korea, they don't have the tariffs. Because we're in China, we have the tariffs. I said, you happen to be right. You're not going to be able to compete. I said, look, I'm going to give you a 1-year break, but I want you to start building your factories in this country, whether it's Texas or any other place, anywhere in the country. And he said, what does that mean? I said, you have everything in China. I want you to move it from China back to our country. And he started doing that. And he built a factory, a big one in Texas. He built another one. And this was all a process. It was all happening. But I did give him an exception, and the reason was, he said, as soon as he said Samsung, I said, how is that product compared to yours? He said, it's a good product. I said, then you really can't compete. You can't have a 25 or a 50% tariff and compete, right? Yeah. And I said, I'm giving you an exception. And I did it for many companies.
But what happens if a small,
but the ultimate
small businesses come and see
know,
you? That was the question.
But we do it for small businesses too. We do it for small business. I'll give you another example. We have a man who I didn't know, but he came to me. He was at a meeting, and he built kitchen cabinets. And he was, pretty big in the business. That's all he did is build kitchen cabinets. He said, sir, China and South Korea are building kitchen cabinets for 1/3 of what I can make them. I said, what's the quality? They're not as good, but they're good enough. I can't compete. I'm going out of business. I have 2,000 people that work for me. I'm going out of business. I put a 25% tariff still on kitchen cabinets. I saw the guy 3 days ago. He said, I'm the man that saw you about kitchen cabinets. You saved my company when you did the tariff, and you saved thousands of jobs, and my company is now doing very well. And he started to cry. And this guy hasn't cried too much, I will tell you. He said, you saved my company. There's nobody. Golden time. And I want to thank a man named Elon Musk because he did a big favor. He did. When I was down here, early on, I was down and we were with the folks and they were going, sir, we need Starlink. I said, what the hell is Starlink? He said, do you know Elon Musk? It's the most incredible thing because especially in North Carolina, they had no communication whatsoever. They were just they were just wiped out and they had no communication. And it's hard to get. So I called up Elon, and he endorsed me. He gave me the greatest endorsement. And how about that rocket the way it came in yesterday? Was that crazy? Was that crazy? I was on the phone with somebody, and I have the television on, no sound or anything. And I'm looking at the screen, but I'm talking to somebody. I guess couldn't have been that interesting a person, but I'm watching the screen, and this big monster, the thing's like 20 stories tall. And it's coming down, the fire's pouring out of it from all angles. And I say, I don't know. Could you hold on a minute? There's something happening on television. I've never seen anything like this, Brandon. The great Brandon Beach. Does everybody know Brandon? Great. Thank you, Brandon. What a good patriot he is. But I said, I've never seen anything like this. So it's coming down, down, down. And I said, oh, man, it's going to be terrible. It's going to hit the gantry or whatever they call it. It's going to hit it. It's going to knock it over Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's going to knock it over. It's going to knock it on its ass like you knock your competitors on their ass, Marjorie. Right? And she does. She is highly respected, let me tell you. Smart. So it's coming down, and I didn't like the angle. I said, come on, baby. And then all of a sudden, you see the fire pouring from the right side. It straightens up. Boom. The thing. And I said, that was amazing. And I forgot the guy that was on the phone. He was, they have a certain respect. We're leading everybody, so they hold on forever. They would have held on for Doug. They would have held on for an hour, but I just totally forgot. Because I've never seen anything like this. So Elon, I said, Elon, could you do me a favor? Starlink, yes, what would you like about it? I said, they need hundreds of them in North Carolina and also in Georgia. They really want them in Georgia too because they lost their wires, they're down. And I'm talking to them, and as I'm talking, I get a call from somebody in North Carolina, thank you for the Starlink. And I said, how the hell did you do that? No, it's true.
Elon. He's different. No, he's different. And I said, Elon, I don't know what Starlink is, but they like it. They like it. But no, it was sort of funny because I'm on the phone and it's all done. And I'll tell you what, it got here and it was delayed once it got here. It was bad things happened. You know, that's happened with a lot of people, but ultimately they got it. And I said, how does it compare to the lines? They said it's better. And I mean, the guy just is a fantastic guy. So we want to thank him for his big endorsement, and he really does. You know where he is right now? He's in Pennsylvania campaigning for me. Is that great? He's in Pennsylvania campaigning. And we were in Butler, Pennsylvania, honoring Corey, the firefighter who lost his life. 2 other good guys, by the way, 2 other very good guys. But he lost his life, and Elon was there, and he wore the black hat. I did not know we had a black hat. It's black with black letters, okay? And he called it Dark MAGA. And he hasn't taken it off. He loves that hat. No, but we want to thank him. He's been really great. He's a great patriot. He's a brilliant guy, too. I mean, who could? I said, does anybody else do that with rockets? Because I've been watching this stuff for a long time. Byron, have you ever seen that before? I said, can the Russians do it? No. Can NASA do it? No. Can anybody do it? No, only me. I said, keep it going, man. That's pretty cool. It's the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. Pretty cool. You know, we got to protect our brilliant people. We got to remember that. There aren't too many brilliant people around. Not too many, right, Marjorie? Marjorie knows better than anybody. There aren't too many. Oh, your lieutenant governor's right there. Look at this. We have big power, huh? Thank you, Bert. With your vote, we will create millions of new, great-paying jobs. Wages will soar. Your taxes are going to fall. You saw that. Your net worth will skyrocket. America will be confident again. You know, America has lost its confidence. It's a terrible thing to say. I said it one time, and I said, you know, it's actually true. But it's going to come back very quickly. America will be respected again. The American people will be optimistic again. And you will be proud of the life and the future you are going to give and giving to your children. Our legacy will be nothing less than the rebirth of the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream anymore. You don't hear about we used to hear about the American dream. My father used to say, you want to live the American dream, son. And I said, what's the American dream, Dad? And I didn't quite make it. I wanted to make it. No, I could have the American dream. You know what? I had the American dream. Did I need this? But I wouldn't swap it. I wouldn't swap it, Byron. I was saying. Going to a town hall. We have 8,000 people and great people. Pennsylvania. I thought the McDonald's was very exciting. That got picked up quite well. That was great. And then we're going to the Pittsburgh game tonight. Pittsburgh Steelers, which will be exciting. And we're going to have a good time. A gentleman, he'll give you his name later. Yeah, he's doing a great job. Elon's all over Pennsylvania. He feels that this victory is very important for the country. He thinks that for democracy, for the country itself. He's a great man with a great touch and a great feel for what's going on, and amazing. He just had a tremendous success, as you know, with the landing of that rocket. But Elon's all over Pennsylvania. He thinks it's very important, and I do too. You win Pennsylvania, you win the whole thing. I blame everybody, including Biden. I blame everybody. The Ukraine war should have never started. If I were president, there would be nobody dead, and there'd be peace. They'd have all those beautiful buildings standing, as opposed to being like demolition sites. That's exactly what it is. They're all knocked down all over the country. If I were president, that war would have never started, believe me. because the election is going on. You don't do a debate when the election's on. And I had a debate with Joe Biden. I had one with her. I did both. I did well in both, obviously. I'm leading in all the polls. But the election's going on. You don't debate when the election's going on. I mean, we're already 3-4 days into the election. I look forward to the result, but I also look forward. You know, I've gone 52 days in a row without a day off, as you probably know better than anybody. Yes, please.
How often do you talk to Elon Musk, and what do you think about Elon Musk, and what do you think about his $1 million plan proposal?
Well, I speak to Elon a lot. He's a friend of mine. He also gave me a full endorsement. I mean, every time he goes out, he gives me an endorsement. He feels very strongly about our winning. He knows what he's doing. He's somebody who really knows. And don't forget, Elon Musk did a tremendous service to North Carolina, Georgia. He got them his Starlink. Starlink is a big deal. You can't get them. And he got hundreds of them for those two areas. So they went from no communication right during and after the hurricane to having better communication than they had before with the wires. So we owe Elon a lot. But North Carolina, Georgia, and some other areas that had very little communication, they got it because of Elon Musk. I asked them to do it.
A little bit about your trip to North Carolina tomorrow. What are you hoping to accomplish there?
Just to let the people know I'm with them. The government's been very bad to North Carolina. The White House has been very, very bad to North Carolina. The governor of Georgia is doing a very good job. I don't know how they've treated Georgia, but the governor is doing a very good job. But North Carolina has been treated really badly by the White House. So I'm just going to let them know I'm with them.
Democrats are criticizing you for having Antonio Brown speak to your rally. You're going to be with him at the game tonight. Are you concerned about your proximity to him, given his the many allegations that he has?
I don't know anything about the allegations. I just heard he was in the... I don't know anything about him. I know he's a hell of a football player, but I just don't know about him.
Has been criticizing your tariff proposals and said that your trade policy is basically just gibberish. Do you have a response to that?
Trade policies are going to make this country rich, richer than it ever was. We've been taken advantage of by every country in the world, including our allies, including the European Union. I mean, not only China, by the way, all fairness to China. And my trade policies will make us very rich. They will bring us tremendous numbers of jobs. They'll take a place like Detroit and make it the motor capital, the car capital of the world again. We'll do that. And our trade policies will make it very, very rich. That's why a guy like Elon Musk is supporting me, because he knows what's going to happen. She will drive businesses out and people out of our country. We're going to end up, if she got elected, you have a 1929 style depression, not recession. This will be a 1929 style depression, the good old depression, and we don't want that in our country. If she gets elected, she knows nothing about business. Her policies are done by very stupid people, very foolish people and stupid people. She knows nothing. I don't think she can get elected. I can't imagine. You won't have any jobs. The country will be out of business. Well, I haven't followed that. All I know is he's a great patriot. What he's done between the cars and the jobs and all of the things he's done. And look what happened. He moved to Texas from Los Angeles, from basically California. And I just asked him one question. Did the Governor Newsom, did he call you to try and keep this massive company in the area that they're at, which is a place in California that's a very nice place, but they don't treat people right? I said, did he ever call you? Did Newsom ever call you in order to try and keep you? He said he never got a call. Think of it. Thousands of jobs. He's threatening to move. He wants to stay, probably. And he never got a call from anybody in California to keep the jobs. You know what they call that? Bad management. I think he's one of the greatest Americans we've had in many, many decades. Elon is amazing. When you look at that rocket ship come in, it lands in the same place that it took off. And I'm looking, I had no idea we'd see that. And nobody else can do it. Our country can't do it. We can do it because of him. Russia can't do it, and China can't do it. They don't have the technology. He does. No, You know, they say one in a generation, that's Elon. To have his endorsement is such a big deal. And you see those young people when they hear his name. He knows what he does. All he wants is he wants to have a great country. And he knows that she will destroy the country. She's a Marxist. She's a communist. She wants to have open borders. Millions, hundreds of millions of people are going to pour in. Unchecked, unvetted. So now we have hundreds of thousands of criminals all over our country because of her and her ridiculous open border. And I want people to come in also, but they have to be checked and vetted. Thank you very much. See you over at the press.
We'll do one question per person, okay?
Yeah, I have the mic. Good. Where's the line? All right.
Here. Elon, first of all, welcome to Ridley Township.
Thank you.
Delaware County, and welcome to Ridley School District and our beautiful high school.
Yeah.
Because you made this your first stop, we'd love to make you an honorary Ridley Raider.
Thank you.
I'd like to give you this shirt, football jersey. Sports is big in Ridley, big in Delaware County. This is Musk's 67 counties in Pennsylvania. We got to turn every one of them red.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
First question is, what can all of us here, everybody in this auditorium, everybody watching the live stream, what can we do now to make sure we get Donald Trump across the finish line in Pennsylvania and everywhere else in this country?
Yeah, it's fundamentally for the next 3 days, just everyone needs to focus on registering friends, family, acquaintances, everyone you know. Because if you're not registered by Monday, that's why I'm being sort of repetitive about this and really emphasizing this. Anyone not registered by Monday evening, or if they're registered incorrectly, their vote won't count. They won't be able to vote. So we got 3 days. It's all about registration, 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 registration every single day. And like I said, this election could be decided by a handful of people. It could just be that a little bit of extra effort on voter registration decides the entire future of civilization. So that's why I'm saying, man, this is, if there's ever a weekend to spend going hog wild on registration, this is it. Yeah. Qua.
Hi, Elon. Thank you so much for being here. It means so much, and I think it's really in line with your character as I've come to know you from listening to you speak in interviews. In addition to voting for Donald Trump, what can the average citizen do to help train AI to be truth-seeking?
Well, I think definitely, publicly pushing to ensure that AI is truth-seeking and is not sort of politically correct, or which means factually incorrect. That's a big deal. Like, just speak out on social media, and certainly complain loudly when other companies attempt to essentially program their AI with a dystopian San Francisco, Berkeley philosophy. And if you want to know where that philosophy leads, just walk around the streets of San Francisco. But be careful, because do not get killed by a violent drug zombie, because they're all over this downtown SF. It's insane. So you can see where does that philosophy lead? And unfortunately, I think a lot of the AIs are being programmed, at least implicitly, with that misanthropic dystopian philosophy. Yeah.
Hi, Elon.
Well, look, I'm not going to waste all the time I'm in. I'm going to talk about his running mate. His running mate, Elon Musk. Seriously. Where is Senator Vance after he got asked the simplest question in the world at the debate did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? And after 2 weeks, he finally said, no, he didn't. That's where he's been spending his time. But that's it. So, look, Elon's on that stage, jumping around, skipping like a dipshit on these things. You know it. Think about it. Think about that. That guy is literally the richest man in the world, spending millions of dollars to help Donald Trump buy an election. Now look, they're saying the quiet parts out loud now because Donald Trump has already promised that he would put Elon in charge of government regulations that oversee the businesses that Elon runs. That's a hell of a buy. He could spend billions to make more than 10 billion on the back end. So in other words, Donald Trump, in front of the eyes of the American public, is promising corruption. That's what he's promising you. And you know what? I don't believe he keeps many promises, but he'll keep that one. I'll guarantee you he'll keep that one. But here's the good news, Madison. Donald Trump is never going to be president. Elon Musk is never going to run anything in government. So, and the good news is Kamala Harris is promising a new way forward and ready to deliver. Both of us grew up in middle-class families. We didn't start out with $400 million, and we're not the richest people in the world. For Christ's sakes, they said that I might be the poorest person that's ever run for vice president. Yes. Yes. Kamala actually worked at McDonald's and did that job. And we know that the economy works best when everybody has an opportunity to get ahead and thrive. And here's the beauty of it. She's laid out a plan. 100 million middle-class Americans receiving a tax cut and up to $6,000 for new parents to get their kids off to a good start.
Border Patrol, by the way. And look what happened after I left. There was an explosion, like one of Elon's rocket ships. Look at that. How good is Elon, by the way? Is he good? You know, here's a guy. When you talk about, he is so smart. We're inside, beautiful place, beautiful arena, packed, nice, probably 71 degrees. We finally have air conditioning. Some of these things don't have air conditioning. It's brutal. Congratulations to the people who own this place, whoever the hell owns it. We appreciate the air conditioning. But it's like 71 degrees. It's beautiful. Elon is right now in Pennsylvania politicking because he thinks this is the most important election in history. And he says we won't have a country. How cool is that? And he's registering voters. He's an amazing guy. How cool was the rocket ship that landed the other day, right? I never saw it. I told the story. I don't want to, if you heard it, just turn off your ears for a second. I'm talking to a very important guy, and I have the no sound on the television muted. And I'm looking at the television, talking to this guy. Very important, but quite boring, to be honest with you. I hope he doesn't watch me say this, because he'll be able to figure out who it is. But anyway, I said, wait a minute, would you hold on, please, just for a second? Because I'm looking at the screen. I'm seeing this 20-story, huge tube pouring down and fire's pouring out of it. And it used to be white, but the heat is thousands of degrees coming down. They say thousands and thousands. So it's been beat up in that trip down. And I see this massive tube is coming down, and the fire's burning, and it's exploding all over the place. I said, oh my, this is terrible. It's going to crash. What the hell is it? I wasn't even sure. Maybe it was a movie. But I'm looking, it's the news. And I see it, and then all of a sudden, it's going to hit the gantry, and boom, a flame comes out of the left and pushes it over like it was nothing. I say, what the hell? And then,
These two giant arms, whom they envelop it like a beautiful, I won't say it. I get myself into too much trouble. When I say that stuff, it's so great. I'd like to, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to be politically correct if you don't mind. You know what Elon says? Like two giant chopsticks. See what? And electric cars are great. And Tesla's great, and Elon's great. He is the greatest guy, by the way. He gave me that. And there's a great market for them, but they can't all be electric. We have liquid gold, we have gasoline, we have oil and gas, we have gasoline. China doesn't have gasoline, and the electric cars are all going to be made in China. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. So we're going to change it around. We're going to have hybrids. We're going to have gasoline-powered cars. We're going to have electric cars. We're going to have everything. Maybe not hydrogen cars. You know why? Because they blow up, and when they blow up, you are not recognizable. I just said today, I said, your husband's driving a hybrid and it blows up. Ma'am, would you please come down and identify your husband? He's alongside of that tree. And you go like this. I don't know if that's him. No, I don't like that idea. They say they work pretty well. That's not good. They work pretty well, but when they don't work, you can forget it. I think we should take them off our schedule, right? So you got to vote for Trump, and you will see a mass exodus of manufacturing jobs from Mexico to Michigan, from Shanghai to Sterling Heights, and from Beijing to right here in Traverse City. It's a nice place. Nice place. And you people are great. I can't believe it. You know, I figured when I got here, there'd be like 20 people. And I was ready to do the full, look at this place. It goes back. I wish the cameras would show it. These cameras, the fake news. That's a lot of fake news, too, I got to tell you. Look. That's a lot of fake news. I wish they'd show. They never show the crowds, you know? They never show it. You ever see Kamala's crowd? They put like 10 people. They bus them in. They take a bus and they pay people. That's true. They pay people. They don't get people. They put them like that, and the camera always shows those people. I don't know. It's so crazy, isn't it? We don't have buses bringing people. The people come here, and we appreciate that you stay. Really, I mean, look at that, all the way to the back.
I'm not just MAGA. I'm dark, gothic MAGA. Well, the energy in this room is incredible. What a great group of people.
All right, I've only got one question for you, and then I'm getting out of here because this is your stage. But we set up Doge.
Yes.
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're being taxed. You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook. And America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing. Now, you guys are awesome. Honestly, this is like... Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of positive energy that America is all about. Yeah. USA, 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 USA. Ha! Yes. Now, I have something I want to ask you to do, though, because obviously we're somewhat preaching to the converted in this stadium, but there's a lot of people out there who need to vote for President Trump. Okay, so this is a real battle. This is a real election battle. So you need to get friends and family to vote. Make sure they vote. Vote early. This is important. We're going to be putting up a scorecard, okay? An early vote scorecard, state by state, county by county. What is the scorecard? Vote early. Vote now. Yeah. Make the margin of victory so big that you know what can happen. Massive, overwhelming sweep of every swing state, and even some of the states that people don't think are swing states. Massive, crushing victory. Get everyone, friends, family, people on the street. Put the signs up, put the hat on. Let's go. And with that, it is my honor to introduce the First Lady, Melania Trump.
Well, it is good to be back in Philadelphia, and we're going to have an active day of speaking with folks in various neighborhoods around town and really highlighting something you hear me say often, which is I truly believe it's a lived experience to know the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And so we'll be visiting with folks in different parts of town, talking with them about what we all have in common and a collective desire to bring the country together and to set a tone that really is about unifying our country around common desires and challenges, whether it be bringing down the price of everyday necessities or what we can do to invest in our small businesses and lift up our families. And this obviously will be in stark contrast to Donald Trump, who increasingly is using dark and divisive language even more than he has done in the past. He talks about America being the garbage can of the world, and just continuously, I think, demeans the character and nature of who we are as America and who the American people are. And clearly it is intended to keep fanning the flames of hate and division, referring to beautiful historic American cities like Detroit and Philadelphia in such disparaging words. And as we said even just this morning, I think people are ready to turn the page. And that is about all I have.
Julia, hold on, Julia.
Oh, thank you. Madam Vice President, Pennsylvania has been such a focus of this election for both campaigns. What do you make of some of the activity that Elon Musk is involved in this state? Do you worry about, any little difference, including what?
I haven't really been paying attention. I'm focused on our work. But thank you for asking.
Madam Vice President, you've talked about new home buyers and $25,000 for them.
Yes.
What about people who are currently in their homes as neighborhoods gentrify and prices go up? What would you do for them?
So for current homeowners, they are still facing the challenges, whether it be what we need to do around an issue I've addressed over the last 4 years, dealing with fair appraisal values and making sure that the appraisal system is fair, especially for people living in minority and black-owned communities in terms of housing and high levels of home ownership. We've seen bias there, but also just bringing down the price of everyday living, whether it be groceries and what I'm going to do to address things like price gouging, or what we need to do to expand the child tax credit to help people have more resources at the fundamental phases of their child's development. The work that we are doing that is about small businesses. A lot of neighborhoods, as we know here in Philadelphia and around the country, those homeowners often are also small business owners. and need more support. So a lot of my plan is about giving them tax cuts, but also cutting a lot of the red tape so that they can continue to grow and prosper. So there are a multitude of issues that affect homeowners, including, obviously, the challenges of homeownership itself.
Joey?
Yeah, Madam Vice President, are you getting the turnout that you need right here in Philadelphia to win Pennsylvania, particularly among black voters? Are you concerned that you're going to get the level that you need to win this state?
I'm very excited about the reports that we're getting about enthusiasm here in Philadelphia. And to your point, Philadelphia is a very important part of our path to victory. And it is the reason I'm spending time here, have been spending time here. But I'm feeling very optimistic about the enthusiasm that is here and the commitment that folks of every background have to vote and to really invest in the future of our country. I think people are exhausted with things as they've been, and they're prepared to act on their feelings about that.
Okay, Kayla.
Madam Vice President, the former president has said he has spoken to Prime Minister Netanyahu multiple times this month. Are you concerned that those conversations are undermining what the administration is trying to do in the Middle East?
No. And I do believe that it is critically important that we, as the United States of America, be an active participant in encouraging, one, that this war ends, that we get the hostages out, but also that there is a real commitment among nations to a two-state solution in the day after. And we have to fulfill that responsibility.
OJ?
Yes, Vice President Harris, as you go out in the community today, what is it that you can do, or do you have a strategy to dispel all the misinformation in the political ads and what your opponent is spewing?
Well, to your point, there is a lot of misinformation, and he's putting tens of millions of dollars into various TV markets around the country. And what I'm heartened by is that folks in the community, when I am there, they are aware of it and frankly don't want to be played. They are aware of fact. And what I am seeing is that not only are they aware of the misinformation, but they are also aware, if not eager, to know and hear more details about my plan for them. Whether it be, again, on the issue of home ownership, bringing down costs, investing in small businesses, investing in families, including families with children. And folks are very receptive to that. I think people really do want to know and see and feel that their leaders and that their president is prepared to do the hard work of thinking about them, not themselves, unlike Donald Trump, and has a plan that will be implemented on day one. And I've been very clear about that as well. Look, just imagine the Oval Office on January 20th. It's going to be one or two people. It's going to be either Donald Trump or me. If it's Donald Trump, you can see what that day is going to be. It will be him sitting at that desk, stewing over his enemies list. He is full of grievance. He is full of dark language that is about retribution and revenge. And so the American people have a choice. It's either going to be that or it'll be me there, focused on my to-do list, focused on the American people and getting through that list of goals and plans to improve the lives of the American people.
Last one, Jeff.
Madam Vice President, can you give us a sense of your internal polling at the campaign and how that is making or influencing your decisions on what to do over the next 9 days?
So, to be very frank with you, my internal polling is my instinct. I let the campaign people deal with all that other stuff. And I am responding to what I'm seeing. I mean, just 2 nights ago, we had 30,000 people show up. I think it was actually more than 30,000 people, with an incredible amount of enthusiasm. If you see the people who are showing up last night, every event that we do, and the feeling is one of energy and excitement. What I love about the folks who are showing up is it's every walk of who we are as a country and as Americans, every race, age, gender, from all different kinds of backgrounds together under one roof. It's very exciting. The number of young people, I've begun to really point out the first-time voters who are there, because now people are actually registered, and it's very exciting, and the momentum is with us.
Do you need to win Pennsylvania to win this election?
Pennsylvania will be key, no doubt.
Okay.
No doubt. Thank you all.
Things at the same time. Next question.
Hi, Senator. I'm Carol Thompson from the Detroit News. Thank you for taking a question. Given Elon Musk's large spending in this race, would a new Trump administration give preferential treatment to Tesla over the Detroit Big Three automakers?
No, of course not. Look, I'm personally thrilled to have Elon's support, and people have to remember, Elon was a center-left Clinton Democrat 4 years ago, and now he's putting on dark MAGA hats because he's sick of the craziness and wants to get back to common sense. And I think that's why. And I think that's why Elon is supporting our candidacy. It's not because he thinks that we're going to do anything for him. It's because he thinks that we're going to make the American nation more peaceful, more prosperous, and more secure, and that's what we're going to do. Now, of course, look, I love the big three automakers in the state of Michigan. I want the big three automakers to thrive and to survive, but they're not going to if we keep on forcing electric vehicles made in China down the throats of American consumers and American workers. So obviously, Elon is very interested in electric vehicles, and the president, ribs him from time to time that, look, if you want to make electric vehicles, great. We don't want to force anybody to drive anything. That's the whole point. But our belief is that the way to empower the American automobile industry is to let consumers decide and let Michigan workers do what they do best, which is make great automobiles.
Be very careful you destroy our country. I will pass historic tax cuts for our workers and small businesses, and we will have very important no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. And we're also going to do something else, and this just came and I announced it in Detroit, because Detroit has been decimated. It's been decimated by stupid politicians. And it just came to me. I was called by some of the smartest guys on Wall Street. They said, how did you ever think of it? I used the paper clip. You know, the paper clip, very simple. They take a little piece of wire, they go like this. The guy became rich. And once everybody saw it, comes in a little box, 129 years ago, probably the same little box. And everybody said, why the hell didn't I think of that? Well, this is the same thing. Tax deduction on interest payments on a car. How about that? How about that? Nobody ever thought of it. And then I came up with a little wrinkle. But only if the car is built in the USA. Is that a good idea? Right? And then I'm going to be working with Elon Musk, who endorsed us very powerfully. He's great. All I know is I watched that rocket come down. I never saw that. I thought I was watching a movie or something, a space-age movie. I watched that rocket. I was on the phone with a very important person that everybody in this room will know. I got to be careful with using his name. I like to be nice and careful. You know that. And then I decide, am I better off being careful or really entertaining people? And I usually decide on the side of entertainment, and then I have problems. Now I'm talking to this very powerful big guy. We're talking, pop, 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 and I have the screen on the television, and it's muted. Can't hear the sound. And I'm seeing this rocket 20 stories tall, something like that, massive. And it used to be white, beautiful, polished white, and now it's all brown from that like 1,000,000-degree temperature coming down, pouring down at 20,000 miles an hour. And it's pouring, and I see that thing, it's steaming and crazy, and the fire's all over the place, and I'm looking, and then I see the gantry, the big gantry, and I see the thing coming in and slowing down a little bit, but it's still going fast. And I tell this very important guy, listen, would you do me a favor? Hold it for a minute. I'm seeing, just hold it. Hold it. When you're leading in the polls and when you already were president, you can say that to important people. Just hold. So I take the phone, I put it down. The sad part is I never picked it up, I forgot. They'll say, he's cognitively imbalanced. He didn't pick up. These people, are they the worst? So I take the phone, I put it down, I say, just a second, I'm watching something that I don't believe. And I see that fire pouring on the bottom of the rocket and it's coming in sideways. I said, it's going to crash into the gantry. And then the fire goes on the left side and pushes it over. And it lands. And then those two big, beautiful arms, they grab it. I said, what the hell was that? Nobody's ever seen anything like that. So I forgot about my other call, and I called immediately Elon. I said, Elon, was that you? He picks up his cell. I said, was that you, Elon? Yes. I said, can anybody else do it? No. Can Russia do it? Can China do it? Can the USA do it outside of you? No, nobody else can do it. I said, what do you call those arms? He said, think of them as chopsticks. I said, that's the way they're like chopsticks. They just grab it, and they just put that thing down so beautifully. I said, that's great. So he's great. He gave me the most beautiful, you know where he is now? He's working in Pennsylvania trying to get us lots of votes because he thinks it's so important. He's campaigning because he said this is the most important election in our lifetime. And if Trump doesn't win the election, our country is potentially ruined. I mean, he's as strong as anybody I've ever seen. And we have to say, this is a seriously smart guy, right? You know, he helped us so much with the hurricanes because North Carolina had no communication whatsoever. And I was there early, and I met one of the people that are in charge. And they said, all our wires are down, and people are dying. A tremendous amount of people missing and dying, and the horrible thing. What a horrible hurricane that was. It was a water hurricane, more water than we've ever experienced from one storm. And it created rivers out of valleys. I mean, rivers that were 25 feet high and running down like rapids. It destroyed just about everything. And they had no communication. And the gentleman said to me, is there anything you can do? Do you know a man named Elon Musk? I said, I happen to know him. What's the problem? Could he get us Starlink? We're trying to get it. Nobody can get through. Starlink, you couldn't get it because it's very successful. So I called Elon. I said, Elon, whatever the hell Starlink is, can you do me a favor? Can you get it to North Carolina? They need it so badly. And then we talked just for a couple of minutes. And the guy wires me, thank you very much for getting Starlink. I'm still on the phone with Elon. He said, sir, thank you very much for the Starlink. They said it's coming right away. I said, Elon, we didn't even hang up. How the hell did you do that? He said, that's my secret. He's really a great guy. And he gives up a lot. He gives up a lot. No, he's given up. I mean, it's amazing that he does it. You know, people don't have to. He just feels so strongly that we're not going to have a country left with these people. Because she's really, seriously, this is not a smart person. And it's not a person that understands. And you can't even...
Mr. President, do you want Mr. President, can you come here and comment on former President Trump's rally yesterday? He was saying a bunch of stuff about immigrants.
It's simply embarrassing. Beneath any question. But that's what we're getting used to. That's why this election is so important. You know, most presidential scholars I've spoken to talk about the single most consequential thing about a president's character. Character. And he puts that in question every time he opens it.
Mr. President, Egypt has a new proposal to ceasefire, 2-day ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. What do you think about it?
My staff is talking to them right now. I'm going to get out here, get in a secure line, and follow up on that. We need a ceasefire. We should end this war. It should end. It should end. It should end.
Prime Minister Netanyahu stressed that negotiation under fire is better than negotiation during ceasefire. What do you think about that?
I'll reserve that for my discussion with him.
Mr. President, can you talk a little bit, obviously you with Vice President Harris, but also do you wish more candidates like Lisa Rochester were using you as a surrogate?
Well, I've done a lot of service, and the fact of the matter is that I've also had to be president at the same time. So I've been in all the battleground states, I've been campaigning, but I also have to continue my job as president.
Will you be on the trail with the Vice President this week, sir?
I've been on the trail. We talk all the time, and they're asking me where they think I should be. I'm going to be in Pennsylvania, going to head to Scranton, and a few other places.
Concerned about North Korea? 10,000 troops now?
Yeah. And they got... it's very dangerous. Very dangerous. And the idea that Colin's opponent is talking to Putin and discussing what should be done.
Sir, Elon Musk is handing out checks to registered voters to register.
$1 million.
Do you think that's legal conduct? Do you think that's election interference?
I think it's totally inappropriate.
How about these Washington Post not endorsing, sir?
Well, hello, Flint. One thing I do know is governors, and you've got a hell of a governor in Michigan. Can I say that? To Senator Peters and Stabenow, thank you on behalf of the whole country for the work that you do. Michigan, you know the assignment. There's several things going on here. Alyssa Slotkin needs to go to Washington. Make sure that happens. And I've had the privilege of serving with someone I consider a dear friend, an incredible member of Congress, Dan Kildee. Thank you, my friend. Hard to replace him, but I think you found somebody to do it. Kristen McDonald-Rivet, make sure she gets there. Make sure they get him there. Mayor Neely, thank you for having me in this incredible community. And Pastor Overson, the words that he spoke, that we know what we have to do. We got 4 days to get that work done, people. Let's get her done. Now, to all of you, thank you. Thank you for coming out. Look, anywhere else I would thank you for coming out in the cold, but for God's sakes, we're Midwesterners. It snowed in Minneapolis yesterday, so we're ready to go. But you came out for a simple reason. You love this country and you know there's work to be done, so thank you for that. Well, 4 days. We're down to about 100 hours on this thing. This next 100 or so hours in the work we do will shape not just the next 4 years, but the next generation. Hard to believe, but there's still a few folks out there with their minds aren't quite made up. Now, you've heard this from folks. I know you have. Well, I really don't like Donald Trump personally and the things he does. And then you're like, oh, really? You know, we've seen that. But then they follow up, but things were good when he was president. The economy was good. Little fuzzy in how they remember things. So let's just level set here before we understand what's at stake. During Donald Trump's presidency, this country lost 2.7 million jobs, 280,000 in Michigan alone. Unemployment was up, and Donald Trump so botched the pandemic response that we were in Hunger Games with our neighbors to find toilet paper. That was Donald Trump's lack of leadership. But look, if you were a billionaire 4 years ago, like Elon Musk, you did pretty well because you got the Trump tax cut that went right to you. All the rest of us, we got squat out of the deal. Now, you remember a couple months back, they got caught on tape, Donald Trump and Elon Musk. They were laughing how fun it would be if workers went on strike just to fire them. That's how they think about it. But now it gets worse, and you need to know what's at stake. I think this group knows. I know this is preaching to the choir, but our recital's 4 days away, people, 4 days away. So now he wants to put Musk in charge of being the economy czar for all of us. Now, Elon says the only way to make this economy work is to crash it, to take it down. And he warned you, though, Americans, this was Elon in his own words, Americans are going to have to be prepared for some hardship. So I would ask all of you, what in the hell does a billionaire know about hardship? These damn people. And then he's talking about $2 trillion of cuts, because that's how we have to make the budget balance, even though Donald Trump called himself the king of debt and drove up the national debt higher than any other president ever has. But Elon says we have to cut $2 trillion. Now, he may be bad at math. We know Donald's bad at math. But to let you know what $2 trillion is, all of the discretionary spending that our government makes in a year is $1.6 trillion. So you're starting to get the math. To get to $2 trillion cuts, you got to go after two things. You got to cut Social Security and you got to cut Medicare. Just so we heard them, J.D. Vance said, we're going to have to cut Social Security. And Speaker Johnson this week said, when Donald Trump wins and they're in charge, there will be no more Obamacare. Getting rid of the ACA means getting rid of the protections for pre-existing conditions, just to be clear. If you're a woman, you have asthma, you've been sick before you had anything, insurance companies make the decisions, not you. Now look, Donald Trump did say he had a plan. No, he didn't. He said he had a concept of a plan. Concept of a plan. And he and the Republicans tried over 60 times to get rid of the ACA. Had it not been the courage of John McCain, they would have succeeded. It's that simple. Might be why John McCain's son is endorsing Kamala Harris for president, too. Look, I suppose 4 years ago, if you were a billionaire like Elon Musk, things were just peachy because you got a tax cut and we got screwed, the rest of us. That's the way that worked. Now, Trump says Elon is going to be his economy czar. He's got ideas, but he says, look, to fix this economy, we're going to have to crash it first in order to save it. But look, he was trying to be helpful. He said, for all of us, for Americans, you need to be prepared. You're going to have hardships when we do this. And the question all of you are asking, what in the hell does a billionaire know about hardships? Look, he'd also told us he's going to help balance the budget. Here's how he's going to do it. He's going to cut $2 trillion from discretionary spending. Now, for some of you, this budget gets kind of big and all that, but just to give you an idea of what that means, all the discretionary spending that the government does in a year is $1.6 trillion. So just to be very clear, at least they're telegraphing what they're going to do. If they do that $2 trillion cut, it means they cut Medicare and Social Security. That's the only way they can do it.
In your role as former leader, moving forward, what do you think your level of engagement is going to be directly with the new Trump administration? Again, given your criticisms of the former president.
I'm going to do everything I can to help the new administration be successful.
Would you be in support of Elon Musk and RFK Jr. having positions in the cabinet for the presidency?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Would you be in support of RFK Jr. and Elon Musk having positions in the cabinet, presidential cabinet, considering that Elon Musk has been reported to be in contact with Vladimir Putin and RFK Jr. has been accused of sexual assault?
One of the things about advancing age, if you all live as long as I do, you're going to have hearing aids on and have a hard time hearing a question like that. Why don't you come up here?
Florence Banks noticed. Would you be in support of Elon Musk and RFK Jr. having cabinet positions, considering that Elon Musk has been reported to be in contact?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that subject. Anything else related to what happened yesterday? Yeah.
And we are prepared to fight to protect this democracy, to make sure things get done. And you might have, I don't know if any of you are paying as close attention or whatever, but we're about 6 days from an election here, folks. I'm saying this, we're going to win this thing, but I tell you what. We don't just hope we're going to win. We plan and execute to win, but I'm done. It's no longer weeks away. I'm not even going to start talking days away. Put this in your mind. We're about 150 hours away from this thing being finished. That's where we're at. Look, early voting in Buncombe County's already started, so we know. How many of you have voted? That warms the teacher's heart in me. You know the assignment. You know the assignment. Look, there are still, it's hard to believe, but you know them, folks still making up their mind. And I know you've heard this version of people in your life. It might be family, might be friends, might be brothers. We all know them. They might tell you this, well, look, I can't really stand Trump personally or agree with the stuff he did. And that's where you could ask and say, you know, you mean the convictions and the cheating people out of things. You could say that. But then they go on and say this. They say, but I liked his economy. I like what he did for us. Now, look, it happens to all of us. Time gets you a little bit fuzzy, and I think they might be remembering things a little bit not the way they were. So let me just refresh their memory for you. 4 years ago, our country had lost 2 jobs. Unemployment was way up because Donald botched the. Do you remember? Oh, it was so good under Donald Trump. We were fighting to get toilet paper. We were trying to get toilet paper. So look, if you're a billionaire like Elon Musk, you did get something. You got a tax cut. And the rest of us got squat out of the deal. So look, now Trump is saying that he wants Elon to be his economy czar. Now, the thing is, Elon apparently doesn't have much of a filter. I think when you're the richest man on the planet, literally, you pretty much say whatever the hell you want to. So at least he was being honest. He said, we're probably going to have to crash the economy to save it. And this is what he said this week. Americans will have to face, and I quote, some hardships. I ask all of you, what in the hell does the richest man on the planet know about hardship? Not one damn thing. Not one damn thing. Now listen, at least they're telling the quiet stuff out loud. So Donald Trump called himself the king of debt and ran up the largest amount of debt in 4 years of any president in American history, mostly by giving tax cuts to the wealthy. But their fix, instead of having the wealthy pay their fair share, their fix, and Elon says they're going to cut $2 trillion in spending. Now, if you don't know what the national budget is, these numbers get really big. All of the discretionary spending that we get to choose adds up to about $1.6 trillion. So either Elon is as crappy at math as Donald is, or they're going to start cutting into things that aren't discretionary, and that means Social Security, Medicare, education, health care. Look, J.D. Vance was very clear. He said, yes, we will go after Social Security. Donald called it a Ponzi scheme. J.D. Vance said Social Security was the only thing standing in between us and fiscal sanity. Not tax cuts to billionaires, not all that, but your parents and mine, Social Security.
I'm going to start wrapping this up.
Thanks, Green. President-elect Trump, there's reports that Elon Musk is having a lot of sway in terms of his decisions, in terms of who President-elect Trump is, having come into his administration, sitting in on meetings with foreign leaders, and Elon Musk has said, there's reports that he wants to sort of reshape maybe the government. Is President Biden concerned at all over Elon Musk's influence over President-elect Trump and potentially what that could look like for the country?
That is for the president-elect to decide on. I'm not going to comment on personnel decision or personnel choices that the transition announces or being reported or what's happening in that world. It is not for us to speak to, the president's going to focus on the next 70 days and what's at hand. Focus on the American people, focus on making sure that we have a process, a transition process that's orderly, and that's what we want to make sure that we keep our promise, right? That honoring our democratic principles. What the president-elect does and speaks, who he speaks to, and how he wants to think and envision his administration, that's up to him.
And just one more, kind of completely shifting gears here, but President Biden, is it still the plan to travel to Africa at the top of December? Is that still on the agenda?
That's still on the agenda, as I mentioned, I think from here at the podium behind the lectern, when we had to pull that trip down and reschedule it, obviously, because of what was happening here domestically with a historic hurricane. We had said that the president would go the first week of December. That still is the case. The president is very much looking forward to visiting the continent, visiting Angola. When we have more to share, we certainly will share that. We have an ACONUS coming up, so we got to do this one ACONUS at a time, if you will, and we certainly will have more to share.
Thank you so much. So how did the meeting go with Trump? What points did he touch on?
Yeah, people are fired up, making sure that we have maximize our opportunity in this unified government to move the agenda forward on securing the border, lowering prices, reasserting America's stance on the world stage. Members are fired up to ensure that we help effectuate President Trump's agenda. And
did President Trump, did he talk at all about Elon Musk? Did you see Elon Musk in the room?
Yes and yes. The president was speaking often about Elon Musk. The members acknowledge his presence and want him to be part of an administration moving forward that helps make our government more efficient. And I think that's been well talked about.
And did he talk about any more details? How big will this Department of Government Efficiency, did he say anything about that?
No, not in the meeting. We didn't get into details about that.
And then for the leadership elections later on today, what do you make of some people? Do you think your entire party is going to coalesce around Speaker Johnson, or do you think there's some that might try and challenge him?
I think Speaker Johnson will get reelected for another term. The president is behind the speaker. The overwhelming majority of the members, almost unanimous, are behind Speaker Johnson and help effectuate this good, positive agenda which will benefit the American people.
Thank you so much.
Good, thanks.
So the message that you saw from this president today.
Does the White House have any reaction to this Department of Government Efficiency that Trump announced yesterday? He's brought on Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead. Says the group is being tasked to find ways to cut government spending, waste, regulations. Does the White House have any concerns about this effort, or do you think maybe it's a good idea to look at these things?
No comment. I'm not going to comment.
You talked about ensuring that the next administration has all the resources they need for this transition, but one thing that needs to happen in order for the Trump transition to have access to agencies and such are these signings of the memorandums of understanding with both the GSA and the White House, including an ethics plan. Did that come up in any way in the conversation today, even if it was just between Jeff Zients and Susie Wiles?
And I was just going to say that, as you know, Jeff Zients, the Chief of Staff, had an opportunity to speak with the incoming Chief of Staff. I have not spoken to Jeff on if that issue came up, but Jeff has been leading this effort of making sure that we have that smooth transition of power. We are ready. We are ready to go. And I've also mentioned that the co-chairs of the Trump transition have said that they are in public have said that they are going to sign the MOUs. So I'm going to have to leave it to them. We are ready. And Jake, I think, put it really well when he said it doesn't mean that we can't still have conversations. It doesn't mean we can't engage with our counterparts or those who have been picked by the president-elect to come into this administration. Certainly, we are open to that and want that to happen. But I would have to refer you to the Trump transition, they have said they would sign those MOUs.
And the appointment yesterday, or the announcement of the nomination of Governor Huckabee, who said some pretty controversial things about Palestinian people. Does that help the case for you guys to be able to work together with the Trump administration? And does it just generally help the case for releasing hostages when someone like that is being put forward as the next ambassador to Israel?
I didn't see the exact comments that you're referring to, so I can't quite comment on it. But what I will say is we've expressed our willingness to try to come up with a coordinated approach. I would hope that President Trump is committed to getting the hostages out. President Biden certainly is, and so we ought to be able to work together on it. But I can't speak to Governor Huckabee's comments.
If I can stay on the Middle East, Jake, so Human Rights Watch just released a report saying that Israeli officials who have repeatedly displaced and relocated civilians are, and I quote, committing the war crime of forcible transfer. What is the administration's position on this, considering Israel's well documented to be displacing people over and over again?
I have not seen that report, so I can't comment on it.
But do you have any concerns from a national security perspective that Elon Musk is joining President-elect Trump's foreign leader calls and is weighing in on foreign policy on behalf of leaders like Putin and Xi Jinping?
I don't have any comment about that. I've just seen the reports, but they'll make their own decisions about how they want to engage with foreign leaders.
But can I just come back? Can I just come back on that issue, Jake, about forcible transfer, about displacement of Palestinians over and over? What is just the broad administration's view on that?
Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense sent a letter to the Israeli government requesting a series of steps to alleviate the dramatic and terrible human suffering that is unfolding in Gaza as the war continues. They have now received a response from the Israeli government, and they're working back and forth together on that. The State Department has spoken at some length on the question you just posed, and I would refer you to them.
It was just about Tulsi Gabbard, if I may. Do you have any concerns about intelligence sharing with the incoming administration, given her history of comments about Putin and about Syria? And also, do you think that might be a problem for Five Eyes allies who may be planning to share intelligence and may have concerns about her positions on those things?
As far as I'm concerned, our transition is going to unfold on regular order. The regular process of people moving through the nomination process, people moving through the security clearance process, our intelligence community is doing the briefings. I am not going to get engaged in that or play a role in that because that is properly the work of the relevant intelligence agencies to do their work, and so I don't really have any comment about President Trump's nominees or public comments and how they relate to the to this issue of intelligence.
We can understand the other side, but what we really are is people with common sense. And I think that's why we won with the numbers that we won by. Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you, Tulsi. Great common sense. And you have Vivek Ramaswamy. It's taken people a long time, and now that name is emblazoned into their brain. But Vivek, wherever you may be, where are you, Vivek? Thank you, Vivek. Good. He's working with Elon on efficiency. They're working on efficiency, among other things, and they're going to be saving a lot of money and making our country stronger and better. And they'll be coming out with individual reports, but a big one toward the end. And you put those two together, it's going to be really great. So we look forward to seeing it, working with Elon, and that'll be a great experience. You're going to learn something from Elon, I think, right? It's going to be great. Thank you very much, Vivek. And great job. What you've done is fantastic. Mike, just relax. Just relax. We have a man who has a seriously high IQ. You know, I'm a person that believes in high IQs, and his is about as high as they get. He launched a rocket 3 weeks ago, and then he went to Pennsylvania to campaign because he considered this more important than launching rockets that cost billions of dollars. Elon Musk. Elon. What a job. What a job he does. And he happens to be a really good guy. You know, he likes this place. I can't get him out of here. He just likes this place. And you know what? I like having him here, too. He's good. He's done a fantastic job. Really an incredible mind, and he's an unbelievable entrepreneur, sort of everything. I'm asking him, what do you do best? And we were not able to figure it out, but it's a lot of...
on your screen is ship currently making its way towards the Indian Ocean. So far. Exactly. So there's there on the left-hand side of your screen. There's a ship on the right.
or estimated landing time? 20, 30 minutes.
15 minutes.
So it's currently moving about 10 times the speed of a vertical missile rifle. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Speaking your language. Yeah, 30,000 feet per second is a lot. Yeah. So like, yeah, vertical missile rifle might go like Mach 2, global Mach 2. This is going Mach 23. Definitely the fastest way to get from anywhere. One day this might actually be, it might actually be viable to carry passengers on long distance flights. If you get from here to Sydney in an hour.
Do you have any space monkeys lined up yet? Space monkeys?
Spice,
Space monkey.
Oh, okay. I thought you said spice monkey.
Sorry, Texas accent.
No, we don't. No.
I volunteer.
Yeah. No space monkeys. We'll make sure it works with cargo, and then we'll add people. So. Hey, is it? Can we do the? Should we go do the tour of it, or? They're gonna tell me. Yeah, you're gonna get to it. Yes, sir. Look at the factory. Yes, sir. All right, so we can go look at the factory and then come back and see the ship landings.
All right. Great.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, it's like it's a bit weird wearing a jacket on this web, I guess. Decorum.
Yeah, on a flight day, you gotta wear a jacket.
And Navy Director of Analytics, Tim Ledger, are presenting game balls to Game Presenter USAA. Accepting the game balls on behalf of USAA are Wayne Peacock, USAA President and Chief Executive Officer, and John Richardson IV, Major General, U.S. Army retired, West Point class of 1991, USAA Senior Vice President and Head of Military Affairs. And Bill White, Captain, U.S. Navy retired, Naval Academy class of 1990, USAA Senior Vice President and General Manager of White Company Affairs and Service. And fans, at this time, the Army Navy Game would like to salute retiring USAA President and CEO Wayne Peacock. Thank you for all of your support. The 125th Army Navy Game offers the 44th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and the 50th Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. Blake Horvath keeps it for Navy. 7 yards into the end zone. Touchdown, Navy.
This is ridiculous right now. What he's trying to do is insert something that is a negotiating tool into an already negotiated agreement to keep the government open.
I've got to get my community prepared for what is likely to be a government shutdown. I have Border Patrol agents, CBP officers, TSA, air traffic controllers, a lot of federal employees, a lot of public servants who depend on their paychecks.
All of a sudden, we have an outside influence who believes, I think he is president, and that's President Musk, who has not elected, has no authority, and trying to really upend what the services are to the American people.
For the American people, those are the things they want to take out. They want to take out things like cancer care for children, things like reforms for the pharmacy benefit managers that lower prices of drugs for Americans. They want to take out community health centers. And so there are two problems. One is what we demanded in the bill so that we could help working class Americans, poor Americans across this country who are struggling with high prices, to lower those prices. The other is the debt ceiling piece. And so that was a very difficult, tricky negotiation to get enough Democrats that they could pass it on suspension, because they can't pass a rule. So even though they're the majority party, they can't get a simple majority on a bill. So I think Mike Johnson, to his credit, realized that he was going to need Democrats. That's why we negotiated the bill. So he could put that, he could grow a spine right now, ignore his puppeteers, Musk and Trump. We're still not sure which one is going to be the real president. And then he could put this negotiated bill on the floor. The American people would be happy to be able to not have this chaos and uncertainty in their lives, and we would all get to go home.
I mean, but short of the bipartisan agreement that was scuttled Wednesday, is there anything else you'd be willing to support?
I mean, I don't know, because that was the agreement. That was the agreement.
Just a straight clean CR.
I mean, what, you know, that was the agreement, was what was negotiated. So we'll go in and hear what our leader has to say and how he sees this unfolding. He's, you know, he did a magnificent job of negotiating something that would really help Americans. The Farm Bill needs to be reauthorized. That was part of the whole thing in the beginning. So there are pieces in here that are important. Communities are suffering from no disaster funding. That was in here. And so I think, you know, this was just a huge tactical mistake. And by the way, I don't think that this is good for Donald Trump going in as the new president, because his approval ratings are already going down a little bit. They will continue to if we have a government shutdown.
But he seems to think Democrats are going to take the blame.
Yeah, but he's just, you know, he says things and he tries to make it seem like they're true. They're not. The shutdown is clearly a Republican shutdown. That's why they're trying to frame it this way. I had to tweet back at Elon Musk yesterday and explain why. If you are the majority party, you can put any damn bill you want on the floor if you have the votes, and you are the majority, so you should be able to garner the votes for the bills you put on the floor. If you can't do that, then you actually have to negotiate with the other side to get enough votes. So don't come to us and say you got to vote for our thing or it's your fault. This is not how it works, even if you say it 1,000,000 times. So Musk has been tweeting out all kinds of lies and misinformation about even what was in the package. That's just their MO. But for the American people who are wondering where their next Social Security check is going to come from, whether or not their kid's going to get a cancer treatment, whether or not, you know, they can travel because the FAA, people forget all the ways the government operates. And so that is the real harm that Republicans are doing with the Republican shutdown.
Congressman, how important is it for Mike Johnson to be in touch with Leader Jeffries in terms of getting Democratic votes on anything he wants to put on the floor?
It's critically important. And, you know, look, I feel Mike came in with me. I feel kind of bad for the guy because he was trying to be the Speaker of the House. He got his power completely undercut by two outsiders, including who are billionaires, who have never had to, I mean, this is the thing that really galls me. They've never had to worry about where their rent check is coming from. They never had to worry about whether or not they're going to put food on the table or whether they're going to be able to afford their critical medicine. But at the last minute, they want to yank a deal that allows Americans to feel secure about it. This is the problem with billionaires running the government.
Congressman, is including debt limit suspension a red line?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not, the debt limit, let me just go back in history a little bit. The debt limit used to be something that was done in a bipartisan way. It was not really used as a negotiating tactic. It followed the appropriations bills. Republicans, several years ago, under Donald Trump, made it a negotiating tactic. They made it a bargaining tactic. And so, I think it shouldn't be used as a bargaining tactic, but they made it so we're not walking away from that. I mean, you want to negotiate on the debt ceiling? Fine. That's going to be a discussion that comes up in the spring, not at the 11th hour of an already agreed upon negotiated deal on the continuing resolution. Thank you, everybody.
Flight plans?
Yeah.
Oh
my gosh, I have literally booked flights. Every day I cancel 2 and I book another 2 and I cancel 2 and I book another 2. She does. You're right. You're right. They're getting bonuses. Believe me.
Immediately. And we will create the new Department of Government Efficiency headed by Elon Musk. And no, he's not taking the presidency. I like having smart people. They're on a new kick. Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 all the different hoaxes. And the new one is, President Trump has ceded the presidency to Elon Musk. No, that's not happening. But Elon's done an amazing job. Isn't it nice to have smart people that we can rely on? Right? Don't we want that? He's done a great job. And I'll tell you, he landed that rocket a few months ago. It landed, it's coming down so fast, 17,000 miles an hour, he says, and coming down, it looks like it's getting ready. And then all of a sudden, the jets go on, it slows it down, then it's almost stopped it. And it guides it over left, right, up, high, down. I said, what the hell's going on? Because nobody ever saw this before. And then it has the big gantry, very expensive. It looks like it's going to be smashed to smithereens. And then those jet engines roared from the bottom. It's coming in this way, a little hot. And the engines, pushed it straight. It landed. And it was like you're hugging a beautiful baby. Baby. No, not that baby, but it was the most incredible thing. And then he got into his car and/or plane or whatever, however he went, and he went to Pennsylvania and he stayed up there for a month and helped us to win that state, which we won by a lot. So he was really good. And he supplied Starlink for North Carolina when they had no form of communication. They said, sir, do you know Elon Musk? Yeah. Well, we can't get Starlink. It's very hard to get. And I called Elon, we have to get some up there. You got to get some up there. And he got over 2,000 units. That's a lot. And they flooded it with Starlink, and it was so good. It saved a lot of lives, so we want to thank him. But no, he's not going to be president, that I can tell you. And I'm safe. You know why? He can't be. He wasn't born in this country. But the fake news knows that. No, he's a great guy, and we want to have him. Everybody, so many people are in this audience that have helped, so to an extent that you wouldn't believe. But we're going to bring transparency and accountability back to our government, and we'll be very soon, you're going to see it drain the swamp. We're going to be draining that swamp at levels never seen before. And I hope everybody goes home and reads the congressional report on the criminal activities of the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs, J6 Committee. What they did is so illegal. And Congress has done a fantastic job on that. They just put out a report. They call it an interim report. It's brutal on them, not on me, on them. And it's